grab your wellies and get ready for a right old knees up in Dromore West, County Sligo. It's the Homesteaders Hoolie, 2 days of pure crack. Hosted by the one, the only, James Conway, the larger-than-life legend of the James Conway Experience podcast. This isn't just any festival. It's a proper celebration of the good life. Expect jaw-dropping talks from heavy hitters like John Waters and The Long Acre, spilling wisdom that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even cry. Want skills to make your granny proud? We've got demonstrations galore. Tin smithing that'll spark your inner artisan, horse plowing like it's 1825, beekeeping for the honey lovers, hydroelectricity to light up your eco dreams, and basket making so you can carry all your newfound swagger. And that's just the start. We'll have every soul tapping and singing. So, grab your early bird tickets before they are gone, and see you there.
Not all superheroes wears capes. Some wear wellies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the James Conway Experience. I was recently talking to a good friend of mine from down the country, and she says, I know a very interesting woman. Would you have her on your podcast? And I gave her a ring, and she was right. She was a very interesting woman. Her name is Lisa McGinley. She was a member of the travelling community. Went off to college, studied social care, then decided she was going to have a big family. So much experience in life. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for coming.
Very much. Thanks for having me here.
So, where did it all begin? Where did Lisa start off in life, as the man says?
Where did Lisa start? Lisa started in Portlaoise. That's where I'm originally from. Born and reared. My father has a business there, and anyone in the Midlands would know Daddy. So yeah, from there, that's the beginning of my story, should I say. And then as I moved on along, I obviously grew up part of the traveller community. I won't say I lived the life of some travellers on the road. I was settled. I'm in a house all my life.
Yeah.
You know, the furthest I've ever been now was a mobile in the yard while the house is being built. But yeah, no, that's where I am and where I was at.
And we'd be talking about a time frame there in the 90s, presumably,
Yes.
would it be?
Yeah.
So you'd be around the one age of myself. You would have been born in the early 90s and
Early
then
90s.
came up through the 2000s and all
Yeah.
that. So it's a rarity, the college is a rarity. Like most of the lads would be working on the road
Yeah,
and a lot of the girls kind of go into the homemaking and that.
they
So
do, yeah.
how was your experience in college? It was good?
My experience in college was unique.
Yeah.
Definitely different, and definitely a minority, if you get me.
Yeah.
Like, we represent 3% of third level education. So there's only a handful of us that go off and do it. There was myself and one other girl actually at the time. She was doing the ladder program in social care. I did the direct 4 years. But yeah, there was only myself and herself.
Did you find the general population welcoming to see you there, or were they a bit standoffish, or how were they?
I'm going to be honest. For me, the lecturers were interested.
Yeah.
And for like your general peers in that, maybe some didn't know, maybe some did know. But I think because, maybe I didn't come off as one of the travellers that you might see in the paper, or, that you didn't have the striking resemblances, some may say, like, some may put it politely that way. Maybe it was the hair that gave it away for some people. Out of curiosity, they might ask, but yeah, then I suppose hearing the name and the surname, it is a traveller name in the Midlands, like McGinley. You think my grandfather's there in Athlone, he has his business. All my uncles have their businesses, same throughout the Midlands. So, some might have just assumed that you are who you are.
Do you think there's still a stigma from the general population? I think there is. I'll be honest
Straight
about
up,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose I'm not going to say blend in.
Yeah.
But I would sit amongst people that, you know, would have discussions or whatever. And then at the end, you could pop in and be like, oh, yeah, no, like, I'm a traveller. And then be genuinely taken aback. Be like, oh, right, no, I didn't know that about you. And you're like, all right, yeah. And you can just see people's opinions change straight away. It's just like, oh, well, that was my experience with this before. But now I'm after meeting you, and it's not like that. And it was even like that when I was working as well. Like, you know, people, when my partner gets it, he sits in on a lot, and the things that he hears and the way people speak in derogatory terms in 2025 about travellers and paint them all with the one brush.
Well, that's the worst part of it.
That's the sad thing.
Yeah, because like, and I said this to yourself, like, one of my favourite sporting things when I was younger was boxing, either training for it or watching it or this. And it's like a lot of travellers likes boxing.
They do, yeah.
And then I liked horses, so a lot of
and
horses.
they liked them too, yeah.
And it was just, then when we went to England, where we drank in Queensferry was frequented by, and it was just, I had a lot of dealings with them, you know, and I never found them that bad.
No.
But, like, there's other people who have had a bad experience, and then what they do is they just blow that into...
out of proportion, completely.
Well, I think what it is you hit it part. It's tarring everyone with the one brush. Do you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
like,
it's such a pity, so it is.
Yeah, like, people don't stop and get to know certain, say, families in their area. They would just go, basically, off the opinion of what Mary Ann down the road had.
Yeah.
And they don't actually get to know who's living beside them. And it's just general.
I was told, I went to, like, when I ran for the general election in 2019 or that. When I ran for the general election in 2019, I used to go to the Halton sites canvassing.
Right.
And they were taken aback by this. And I was just kind of like, well, don't you have a vote? Like, well, yeah. Sure, vote for me, so. Do you know, it was that simple. It was kind of like, why? Yeah. Sure, I don't care if you're in a trailer or a house. Like, if you have a vote, you have a vote. But a lot of them were taken aback by this. They were just like, usually when someone going for an election sees a Halton site and maybe a dog barking or that. They drive past.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You will get that in general. Like, you know, people are, even, I don't know, like when I was in college, like some people were eager to learn more. Yeah. And then there was others that were just shut down and were like, no, like, let's move on. You know, you're not...
Do you think some of the fellas, some of the boys might want to go on for college and that, but what they're kind of, how would you say, they're kind of pushed towards the trades, if you get me. They're kind of pushed towards, this is how you make a living. Do you know?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. Now, before I had children, I would have been like, oh yeah, sure, like, what's wrong with them going to school, or what's wrong with them getting an education? And there's nothing wrong if that's what they want to do. But I do see the benefit of them having a trade, if you get me, and being able to do things with their hands. Like, I have 3 brothers, and they will be in the business with my father. No, he like, obviously it's different. Like, you know, he's carpets and furniture and all of that crack there. But the boys will be in with him and have been from a young age, if you get me. Like, my brothers don't have secondary education. There's myself and my eldest sister. So she would have done a level 6. She is an SNA, a qualified SNA. And like, I see, it is men and boys are pushed maybe more out than maybe the girls have more of a chance of
education.
There's
another side to that too, though, and I've been doing a fierce amount of thinking about it. Like,
right.
Travellers have a great support network of family that's far closer than, like, what might be referred to as country people at the moment. Like, a parish. So when you were up here, that was my grandfather's house. That was my uncle's house. You know,
it
was almost like, we'll say, kind of like the yard, and it was a big yard. Instead of living side by side, it was a field or two. Across, Whereas now it's, communities and families, the children are moving to the cities.
Moving away completely. Yeah, they're moving out rather than in.
Yeah.
If you get me. But I do feel like parents are pushing them out.
Yeah.
People are like, won't speak for all again, but like in the settled population, they are more to, send them to school, make sure that they get their 9 till 4 in secondary, and then they come home and they're stuck in the books, and then, push them on to college, and that's the exact same. And then it's like, right, we'll go and have a career, and then maybe think about meeting someone, and then think about settling down and having your family. It's pushed out all the time. It's not a thing of here and now. It's like, don't burden yourself with having children, or having them young, or having them without support. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
They're like that, and I'm not being funny when I say this, but like sometimes when people do decide to settle down, and they do decide to get married, and they do decide to have a family, it doesn't happen when they want to have it.
Yeah.
It's things just don't work out for them, and it's like, oh well, I should have had them this length ago, and I feel like I can only speak for myself, but like, the younger you have them, now I'm not saying go off and have them as teenagers either, like I'm, kind of a normal 18 to 20 kind of age range here, you still have the support of your mother, you still have the support of your aunties, you still have the support, hopefully with the help of God, your grandmother. Yeah. That's someone you can go to for advice, or you can ask questions to. But as you're pushing along, you're pushing out the age gaps. And then...
That's a hell of a point. It's a hell of a point. Yeah, it's something me and Darren have discussed.
Yeah.
Because, what they're painting as the ideal age now to have a child is 40. And it's not.
No.
It's so much harder to conceive. Yeah. Simple thing like energy levels. Absolutely. When you're 40, you don't have the same energy levels as when you were 20.
I had my first little girl when I was 21. I was nearly 22, right? Yeah. And I had my last little boy just in February, so I was nearly hitting 31. And I'll tell you, the energy levels I had when I was 22, nearly having Madison, and having my last little boy is no. Like,
yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, like, I suppose if I had another 10 years on me and I was only starting my family, I reckon I'd be tired. Like,
and they reckon it's good to have them all together because they kind of keep each other company and they grow up together and all that kind of stuff
they do.
As well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rear each other, Darren.
Yeah, I know, and you'd probably be shocked for saying that. Like, but look, as you said, like, I went to college, I got my degree, I studied it from a different perspective, and I'm now speaking from my lived experience of, even like when I was a young one, and mummy and daddy, like, we weren't pushed. I'm not going to say we were pushed to mind children or whatever, but you naturally took on that role.
Yeah.
You weren't parentified, and you have to like be careful crossing that. You not to parentify your child into rearing your children for you.
Yeah.
No.
A little version of mammy.
Yes. No, I'm not talking about that. But it's healthy for them to take on roles and responsibilities, because at the end of the day, they are going to be someone's wife, or they're going to be someone's husband. Yeah. They're going to be someone's mother. They're going to be someone's father. You want them to have the capabilities of being that.
Well, it's funny you say that. We were doing, when you get married, you have to do this marriage course or that. And there was a man and a woman given the course.
Right.
And it was the typical thing that most of the questions were being answered by the ladies.
Right, okay.
And most of the fellas were sitting there looking down at their shoes, going, I don't really want to be here,
No, I was dragged.
Yeah, but anyways, the question comes up, like, what's the most important thing for you to do for your child as a parent? And it was the same answer from all the girls, to be there for them, to love them, this, that, and the other, you know? And then it's kind of, your man goes, anyone else or that? And I says, you mightn't like my answer. I think I could be wrong. I said, he goes, no, fire ahead, what is it? And I says, well, to get them ready to be a man or a woman. And he goes, that's it. He says, that's literally what your job is to prepare that little person that one day You will be an adult. It's a big bad world out there. And you see, I think, like, this will be a big conspiracy for you now, Lisa, right?
Right, go on.
I think the attack on the travelling lifestyle started in the 40s or 50s in this country.
Right.
There was, from then on, by government, a concerted effort to get these people to stop travelling, to be in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was the whole thing of education is more than getting the children ready to be a wife or a husband, as you said. It's to get them ready to be an employee.
Yeah.
I look back at that, we'll say around the period of the 20s, 30s, 40s of that, the traveller lifestyle at that point. Those people were totally self-sufficient. They did not need government in any capacity. Now, a lot of people might have looked at them and said, oh, it's an awful life, travelling around it. But the point about it is, nobody was worried about them at that stage at all. I think some civil servant twigged it. These people are travelling. They're highly connected to God. They're very religious. They have that connection of divinity.
Yeah.
They have their own language. They have their own way of communicating between themselves. A lot of them had their own king. They had a separate system completely.
Absolutely, yeah.
And someone looked at that and went, oh, that's a lot of trouble for what we're going to try and do.
We have to get in there now and undo that.
I honestly think they did. I think they systematically tore apart a culture that was a totally unique culture.
Yeah.
Like, sure, how many 100 years has Ballinasloe going on? Or Appleby or any of these places?
But now they're frowned upon.
That's, yeah.
Now it's kind of like, oh, like, and I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but I'm not sorry. Like, Ballinasloe is on and suddenly the cinema is out of service for that weekend. And, it needs maintenance. Or, like, certain hotels, oh, well, actually, they're not, like, running at peak staff capacity. But just that weekend, because they'll be up and running the weekend after, and they were up and running the weekend before.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people are... How am I going to say this nicely? People are not trying to... Well, no, they are. They are trying to chip away at them and push them out. I'm not going to say we were on the outskirts of society.
No, it's just, look at the word for it is racism. That's what it is. Right?
Nail on the head.
Nobody has any issue saying, oh, you're racist if you give out about this colour fella, that colour fella. The truth of the matter is, if there was an asylum centre in a town and they closed down the cinema, it wouldn't be long before people were saying, you're all bloody racist.
Oh, yeah. You sure you'd have a big protest?
That's what I'm saying.
They'd be out and waving flags and being like, oh, well, you can't do that. But when the travellers ride into town, of course you can.
I think what's going to happen, and I can see it happening, because I know I spoke to a few lads in the UK, or that is, there's a lot of money in the travelling community too. There's plenty of fellas that are well off. Do you know what I mean? They will identify this and they'll say, I'll have a horse fair on my own farm of land, and I'll charge people a tenner for coming into it, and I'll have my own chip van, and I'll do it all myself.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the community in England now, they have the trots, and it's completely, everyone parks up on their place, and they keep the money to themselves, and they say, do you know something?
Yeah.
Ye ran us.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep this within our own community. And I think they're dead right.
But they are. But, like, it's like, right now, you have modern day Ireland, right? And people are going like, look, Lisa needs to go up there now and take her tinfoil hat off her, right? But you know the way this digital currency is coming in?
Yeah.
Right? And people, I don't know, maybe they're sheeps to the slaughter, but they don't see the impact that this is going to have on them, right? Like you said, travellers, some of them might have a few pounds, and like everyone else, there's some that wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And it just, that's kind of like a general thing. But the ones who are a little bit more comfortable, they're not the ones that, say, the government and the banks are going to like. Because when you have cash in your pocket, no one has what's in your pocket. You could have a fiver, you could have 50, you could have €100. But when you have it in the bank, they know exactly to the penny what you have.
Yeah.
And I think that's why as well, like, they're trying to, in a general way, do this with the travellers, you take them off the road, okay? You put them into a house. But Sheila doesn't want to live in beside Marianne and Winnie. No, Sheila wants to live beside her own kind of, I'm going to say, like, mid-society kind of peers, if you get me. Whereas, like, some travellers would be looked at as, like, down lower than your shoe, right? So what they do is then they pack them all into one area, if you get me. Like, you will see family kind of housing in different towns you go to. I'm not saying every town, but, like, obviously certain halting sites would hold certain families. And initially, anyway, halting sites were never built for that purpose. Halting sites were built to kind of support that on the road lifestyle, but have you off the road. It wasn't for someone to come in and sit down and plant themselves and their family and rear them there. It was to support, you going from town to town like they did, but then that all went away. Different families started to settle in different towns, and that was it, which is fine. But you're still on the outskirts, if you get me. You're on the margins of society.
Such, like, all of this modern shit affects the traveller community more than other communities. Like, the whole animal welfare thing you can't go hunting for a rabbit or that.
No.
You can't, how do I say it, horses. One time, like, the travelling community, a lot of them has the best kept horses in the country. Yeah. But if someone sees a good working horse with a flat cart full of scrap, they think they're being cruel to the horse. When in actual fact, that horse will run up to get his bridle on in the morning because he wants to do a day's work.
But they're built for that. You know, when you get a horse that is used to that kind, not used to it, but they're there for their purpose. If you get me. Now, I know, look, there is other ones that are, like, enjoy a nice, easy going lifestyle as well. But, like, it's like us all. You adjust to what you know. You know, and like you said, a horse isn't going to run up and wait to get their bridle on if they think they're going to be
It's the same
strangled.
As that little pony pashed in there. Yeah. Like, let no one tell me, if she didn't want to be in a gig, she wouldn't back into the gig for you to put it on her. No. She is delighted when you bring her up the road.
Because you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting a child into the car.
That's it, yeah. I get to,
they're delighted, they're going somewhere.
I get to see the horse down the road today. Great. You know? Yeah, I don't know. But, like...
Listen, you'll face it no matter where you go, right?
Has the settling thing been good for the community? And I know there's a degree of comfort.
Yeah.
But has it been actually good for the community?
Look,
has it been good
if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, right, and if I was sitting in a lecture hall in college, I would have said, yeah, but sure, like, probably. You know, I would have been more on the, it would have been, like, you know, oh, sure, look, they have access to doctors, they have access to this, they have access to that. But do they?
Does anyone anymore?
Not now, not the way the country's gone. But ask me that now.
But the choice was taken away, wasn't it?
Now, you've hit the nail on the head. The choice was taken away. Yeah. You know? And you see that anyway when you go into... Now, I probably get shot because people are like, why are you talking, like, you know, publicly about this? But you go in to have a child. And part of one of the questions on the form, when a woman goes in and she books in for a booking clinic, is, are you or your partner a member of the travelling community? Now, bear with me. What has that got to do with me going in to have a child?
Right. Yeah.
So here we go. If I tick no, full steam ahead, right? You go in, everything is grand, you go to all your clinics, you get all your scans, the whole lot. As soon as you tick yes, that's where the fun begins. Straight up, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, you're a member of the traveller community. Is it yourself or your partner? And obviously, in my case, I'll say, oh, myself. Yeah, you do know now, sweetheart, that when, you know, the baby's born, they have to have the Bootler test.
What is the Bootler test?
So here we go. The Bootler test, they say, right, is to test for classical galactosemia, right, which is, as they say, affects 1 in 456 traveller babies, right? Just, you need to bear with me on this as I ring through my thought process on it. So say 146 or 56 babies. It's a very rough figure like that, right? But it'll go from there, and then they'll tell you, well, your baby needs the white side milk, right? So straight away, that whole, I'm not going to say they push on the settled community, but they would encourage it, is to breastfeed your baby. They will tell you that it is liquid gold. It is a superfood. It is so nourishing for the gut, so nourishing for the brain. It is tailored to your baby from you. It is, like, if you say, like, breastfeed your baby, the colostrum for the first 3 days, liquid gold. Like, it prevents or can prevent your child having nut allergies down the line, asthma down the line. Like, these are all the things that they're telling the woman in the bed next to me or in the room next to me. Like, you know, make sure now you have something in place, or you go and you get, like, breastfeeding classes or whatever the case may be, right? Support. And then there's me, say I just went along with it. And they would tell me, now, Lisa, sweetheart, you have to put your baby on the white side milk, and, you know, we'll send off for this test, and it should be back within 3 days. But within them 3 days, you're not allowed to breastfeed your baby. Why not? Like, why are you testing every single traveller child and putting them in this category? You are automatically doing them a disservice. Now they'll say, oh, well, sure, look, you can pump, or you can harvest your milk, or this, that, and the other, while you're waiting on the test to come back. But I'm sorry, that bond isn't there then. If a woman wants to, I'm not saying she has to, but I'm saying if she wants to, she's not given that opportunity.
What would be the consequences of that baby having breast milk if they...
So they say that if the baby has the classical galactosemia, which, can I say, by the way, is also done in the heel prick test anyway, which is usually done, I think, about maybe day 3 or day 4, if you choose to have it done. So it'll turn up in that, like, along with the PKU and a list of other cystic fibrosis and other things anyway, right? But they say it's basically about not being able to break down what's in the mother's milk, but the same way they wouldn't be able to break down, like, you know, your SMA or your Aptamil or whatever, they have to go on this special milk. But the whole point of it is, why are you... Now, they say, like, it's one in, and I need to get this right, 1 in, I think, is 66,000 of the general population babies have it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's still a chance, and if you're pushing this so much, why is every child not tested for it? Why are we just taking the travellers and saying, hey, I know there's a high percentage in your race or in your culture, but we're going to test all your babies, and we're going to stop every woman from initiating her feed? Why are we doing that? Why are we not stopping every other woman?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you straight up from the get.
And now a word from our sponsors.
You're probably always wondering what these bottles are all about. I'll give you a wee heads up. Folks, what we're going to talk about now is beetroot. Now, I've based my bottles around beetroot, and the benefits of the beetroot is it boosts athletic performances, helps stroke prevention, and that's what it does, massively helps benefit the heart. It's a natural immune booster. Listen, I would love to put a health claim in the bottle and say natural immune booster. We're not allowed to, but the bottom line is, when by any 4 weeks, you're not a 1 bottle wonder bottle, you'll not do it overnight. So try it for 4 weeks. It'll cost you no more than about €48. What's not to like about that?
When the storm hits and the power goes out, you shouldn't be left stuck. The handcrafted Donnelly rocket stove gives you reliable cooking anywhere. anytime. Using just small bits of wood, it's efficient, eco-friendly, and built to last. Cook outdoors with confidence, whether it's for emergencies, camping, or everyday use. Order yours today at donnellystoves.com and use code CONWAYEXP for €10 off your order.
I declined that on all my children. It didn't sit right with me because my youngest brother is nearly 17, okay? And my eldest sister, she is in her mid-30s. And if you go to the research that was done, it says by the Children's Hospital Ireland, they link in with the Rotunda, and every woman that has a baby basically is every traveller woman that has a baby is referred over here to get this Bootler test done, or whatever the case may be. But when my mother had my sister, my eldest sister, wasn't heard of it. But on their website, they say that this is out decades. Okay? So Mammy's had 8 of us. But by the time she had her 8th child, this was the first that was ever presented to her. So why is there such a discrepancy in information? Can't be out decades if 17 years ago was the first time she was presented with it. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's more misinformation again.
Yeah.
But like what you said is perfectly correct, is like the bonding process is totally...
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the immune system, like, I mean, you know, it's like even when you have a calf, it's important that they get...
Green cert, every animal colostrum or something.
Yeah.
You have to get it in, and in very rapidly.
Yeah,
do you
absolutely,
know?
Yeah, and they do say like that first hour after a woman has her child is the golden hour.
Can I ask you a question? This is as, I suppose, a settled person looking from the outside in or that, right?
Yeah.
But you have this organisation that kind of represents you, Pavy Point or that, right? And it's travellers, gypsies and Romas. I know enough gypsies in England to know that Irish travellers and gypsies have very little in common, but Roma gypsy is nothing in common at all.
No.
It's nearly like LGBT.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you gay, lesbian, who cares? You're all in.
Put them all in together, you know.
What?
No. Like, okay, so basically, anyway, there was a study done back in, I think it was 2017. It wasn't even that long ago. And they basically are saying that we are as much related or in common in our genealogy, basically, with the Roma gypsies as we are with the Spaniards.
No, that couldn't be right. So the Romans came from North India.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know why. Now, look, maybe I will get shot and I will get backlash for this, but from what I can gather, and I'm only speaking about myself and the information that I have, and maybe someone can educate me, I don't know. But it would be like me going out, and it'd be like them going out and representing people from India, from the Indian culture, as they are representing the Roma gypsies under.
Which is like, it's just different, do you know? And if you go to a fair in England, you see people from the 3 communities.
Yeah.
I'm only saying it as an outside observer. I can't understand. But this is kind of the other thing too. There you have the IFA, right? The Irish Farmers.
It's probably though like the net at the state, and they just want
everyone in the one
under the one, yeah.
Exactly.
But it's like the farmer thing.
Them,
yeah,
you know?
IFA, and you have a dairy farmer, a beef farmer, a sheep farmer, a pig farmer, a poultry farmer. You're all farmers.
You're all farmers.
But the truth of the matter is, none of the issues are the same.
Yeah,
and then nothing winds up getting done because everyone is looking for something different.
Yeah.
So that. Like, what do they do? What do they do? Or do they... do they argue on your behalf? Or do they get you grant money? Or, like, what's the story with it?
They basically lobby alongside maybe government agencies to, like, or county councils for, developing, I'm going to say it, accommodation for travellers, or better access to health services for travellers, or better access to education for travellers. Yeah,
but on that point now, like, there's no, on the access point, is there still people denying access for education? Because I'd imagined, if I was the principal of a school and a traveller family came, I'd be fully aware, well, they're an ethnic minority. So if I deny access to them, I can be sued.
Yeah, but it depends on how you deny access.
Yeah, I suppose. That's me. Yeah, that's me being, again, outside of it, not seeing it, I suppose. So.
Like, obviously, if you bluntly turn around and be like, yeah, your travellers, like, can't roll you in here, they're not going to do that. Like, they tell you that their classrooms are full, or that they'd put you on a waiting list, or is there any other school in the catchment area that you can enroll in and they'll get back to you? Or, it's everywhere you go. It's like when you walk in and, like, I'm speaking for maybe myself, but if you walk into a doctor and it's like you're looking to go on their books, and it's like, well, no, we're full now. Look, I know 2025 Ireland, there's not a doctor that has room anywhere, but you can bet your bottom dollar there are certain groups that are going to get prioritised on that waiting list before.
Yeah. No, I have no doubt in that.
Yeah, like, and look, the other side of it too is, right, and they do give themselves a bad rap in general, like in different ways that they maybe react to things, or they can go, I'm not going to say overboard. I can't, like...
They have their own way of dealing with stuff.
Yeah, that maybe the general population don't, but let's back it up for a second. There's people coming into our country at the minute that are ruled by their own law that overrides the law that's in our own country.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Under the guise of the dead of the night. But here you have travellers who are, say, for talk's sake, not that I'd have any involvement in any feuds or whatever, but say you have a certain clan that is trying to resolve something within their own thing, and they're being told, well, no, you can't do that.
I'll be truthful about it. I have a different perspective to it altogether.
Go on.
I think it's a great way of doing things. I really do.
Everyone knows where they stand.
I do. I think, to be honest about it, it should be promoted. If there was, if there was more of a policy where you could just let two fellas into a field and whoever comes out of it, so be it, I think it's a far better system. I really do. I think this nonsense...
It was a more common system.
Like, this wasn't uncommon amongst the country people 30, 40 years ago. You waited until the fair was over, the two fellas bet the shit out of each other, you moved on.
Yeah.
Now it's a case lawyers' letters and lying in a solicitor's pockets and Jesus Christ almighty. And then, no.
And then the court system is like backed up to the gills, like, and it's just like, could they have resolved that?
And then you have other state departments coming in on top of you and all that kind of stuff. And it's.
But like, if you go a day there down to Sligo Court, and I'd be in it, some of the stuff that comes in there is absolutely nonsensical. Like, there was a poor old fella came in a day before myself. He was drunk and he fell asleep outside a shop. And when the guard went to wake him, he told him to F off. And he was in court for that.
Right.
And I said, I'll never be a guard. But if I was the guard in that situation, I'd say, listen, I'm bringing you home. You can go into your bed and sleep it off. And don't tell me that I'm this, that, or the other. But instead of that, there he was with his little notebook. And then he told me I'm thinking all of this is coming from egos.
Yeah.
You're there, what is it called, public servant. The man is quite clearly pissed. He's fell asleep. If you're pissed yourself, you'd probably fall asleep.
I was just going to say, if you weren't in uniform,
yes,
you've done the same thing yourself.
Yes, but you see, how many courts is backed up with that type of... Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you held them courts for very serious stuff...
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, there is crime that, does need punishing.
Yeah.
You get me? There is, but for petty things like that you give someone a slap on the wrist or a kick in the arse and run them on...
There is, though, a thing, and it has to be said too, Lisa, amongst the travelling community, there is a higher rate of incarceration per 1,000, we'll say.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And like I have mates, travellers, you know, and I says, unless ye can even that out, people will always have a bit of a stigma against you.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that stems from our young lads is away working at 14 and stuff like that, and then
getting married young.
The
responsibility of a wife and the responsibility of feeding children.
Yeah. And there's another side to it too, is we'll say your wife is 16 or 17, right? And your brother's wife is 27 or 28. She expects the same lifestyle as the girl 27 or 28, but what she doesn't realise is, well,
he's worked 10 years.
He's worked 10 years, do you know?
Yeah.
And you're trying to play catch up, and unfortunately, sometimes that'll
go across the board, because if you like young fella getting married and like, you know, looking at what his father has, you know, but his father's worked all his life to get what he's got.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just wake up one morning and be married and be like, ooh, you know, pockets full of money and, no, like, nice trailer. No, you can't. You have to, like, work for these things, if you know what I mean. And they do come. And you know what? Maybe that is down to a little bit of naivety as well.
Yeah, I think
on their
behalf. A lot, like, I used to see that when, do you know, when you were younger and you were visiting fellas' places and they had a lovely house and the street was tarred and everything was done.
Lovely, yeah.
You never say to yourself, but he's done that over 20-something years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know, it wasn't day one that it looked like that.
No, it wasn't. I've often heard Daddy talk about different things, like, and he'd be like, oh, well, when I was such an age, I had this. When I was such an age, I had that. By the time I was 30, you know, I was well on my way. And it's like, yeah, but, you know, he's out grafting since he was 15 or 14 or whatever the case may be, going on to markets and loading lorries with his father and all of the rest that went along with it. It's not that, like, you know, he woke up and he got married and suddenly he had this. No, he's worked all his life for what he has.
Well, you see, I think a lot of people don't like the travelling community out of a kind of internalised jealousy. I think, especially when you meet the real traveller, you know, the one who's still travelling.
Yeah.
And he has his van and his trailer. And I used to see them in England or that. They're in Wales one day and they say, do you know, there's better work in London. Good luck, lads.
What he has, he owns.
What he has, he owns. And he has the freedom of the road.
Yeah.
He hasn't to answer to nobody.
Nobody.
And, you know, there's an awful lot, I think, that looks at that and they say, fuck them. They should be...
I'm stuck here in my house.
They should be paying a mortgage too.
25-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe there is a bit of that. I don't know. I can't speak for them all. But, like, yeah, there is a lot to say for being free from the shackles of financial commitments and financial burdens. Like, you know, you have bills to pay no matter who you are. And you have, you know, food to put in bellies and clothes to put on backs, right? But when you start adding things on top of it, like mortgages and car loans and this thing and that thing, you know, it is a weight and it is a burden that genuinely does bring people down.
When there are many still travelling, like...
You'd notice it more in England. I seen there was a family up North Wales. They were still in the wagons and that.
Really?
You know? Yeah, they're still doing it the
right way, the old way.
Well, I won't say the right way or the wrong way. But your man does hedge laying.
Right.
Do you know, he lays hedges.
Very good.
And that's how he cuts his living. And then in the summertime, he just goes from fair to fair. But there was one
I remember the travellers, like, I would have been kind of...
There was Mahons down here, I think.
8 and 9. But I remember them coming into town and going and that kind of stuff. But, like, by the time I was a teenager, it was a thing that was gone.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, they were here, do you know Kane's Hill there? They used to camp below at the bottom of Kane's Hill. And then Granddaddy used to shoe, I think, for them. He used to shoe the horses and that for them.
You wouldn't remember them?
No. But you'd remember them coming back with tools and stuff, selling them, do you know, visiting or that. But what's it called? They used to help with farmers for picking spuds and stuff like that.
They were a useful resource and they came out at the right time.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I don't know... Like, how is it that we went from that relationship where they were working on the place, eating with the people?
Yeah.
Like, there was no stigma at that stage. It was just like, that's your life, this is my life. If I need to pick spuds, would you send the kids up and I'll pay you for it? Like, do you know?
Send them home with a basket of them for the dinner.
Yeah, but at least there was kind of...
Bartering.
Yeah.
That's gone. Yeah. That's well and truly gone. Because people have...
There's one of them, and he's a namesake of yourselves, but I don't know if you're related or not, but he does visit here, and he reckons that I'm one of the few houses where you still come in and have tea and sandwiches and that.
But it's gone in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was actually only at, I was in Newbridge there Sunday, and I was at a church meeting, and me and Mammy were chatting a woman that was there, and she was just saying, like, you know, years ago, like, travellers were the best visitors. Do you know, like, you'd go to, say, one of your aunts this evening, and then in a few evenings' time you go on to another aunt, and you go down and see your grandparents, and, like, as a child growing up, every second Sunday, right, we used to take it in turns. So I go see my grandparents in Turles, say, this Sunday. I go see my grandparents in Athlone the following Sunday. Like, it was a thing that you did. You didn't think twice about it. And it was everyone's kind of thing. Maybe the odd Sunday, you might take Sunday off and you go shopping or whatever. But, like, now that's gone in a lot of different ways. You know, like, even, say, going to, say, an aunt or an uncle this Sunday or whatever the case may be, that's gone. We're not the best at going and visiting each other as we used to.
What's the social media thing done? Because, like, I do, right, there's a couple different sides to it. I'd be following, there's one fella there, Warden Dublin. Christ, he has fantastic horses. And I do love seeing what horse is he training at the moment, what is he hooked up, you know. And then I know herself, she follows 2 or 3 girls for makeup and stuff, and she likes
cleaning.
But then you come on and it's some fella shouting about some other fella in the country he's going to bait the head of him and all that, do you know? So it has positives and it has negatives for everyone.
Oh, for everyone.
But, like, from your perspective,
it's given the settled community a more insight into your life. Maybe
it is, I think,
that they maybe wouldn't have had before, because you think about travellers would have been, like, not hush or shunned or whatever, or kept to themselves, but like, you wouldn't, you see, like.
Well, I have a mate, and do you know that programme, what was it called? Big Fat Gypsy Weddings or something. He says that destroyed Appleby Horse Fair.
Do you know the amount of people that say that was just, it just made a dog's laugh. Travellers. And the English gypsies, like, they just, I don't know, maybe they had good clips and then they just used the bad ones or the bad parts. I don't know. Look, it was for entertainment purposes anyway, and, you know, they got the ratings and they got the views and they got their few pound, and, you know, like, I can't say it done them any good.
Yeah.
There's any justice to the getting it. But
did it bring up an element of jealousy too? Because, like, how do I say it? Do you know the branded clothes and stuff like that? But sure, like, I'd be familiar with the fairs and stuff. Do you know, I know that they're not a lot of them. There's a lot of them isn't paying fucking £90 for a t-shirt.
No,
if you
they're
get
not.
me.
And then you have the ones that are. That's what I mean. It's but
they think everyone is.
Do
you know what I mean?
But it's like when you go out into the general population. You have a man who's able to have 3 houses and 3 cars, and he's wearing top gear suits. And then you have the normal fella beside you that has his normal house and his car that gets him from A to B. And, you know, like, but when you have 2 people from the settled community side by side, they're not going to begrudge each other maybe what they have. Whereas sometimes, you do have them looking in on travellers and being like, oh, well, you know, she's at home all day with the children, and, you know, how is she able to do X, Y, and Z? Like, you know, and then
I think that goes on in all things. So I do. It's the same as begrudgery is in all aspects of life too.
It's terrible.
It is. It's an awful.
No, it is.
But I remember at the time of that programme, and I was laughing. It was an English lad, and he was giving out stink about the gypsies. And I says, "What's up with you?" He says, "Oh, they're rotten with money and this, that, and the other." And I says, "Why?" And he says, "Oh, that wedding," he says, "how much would that have cost?" And I says, "Well, that man, the father of the bride," I says, "how many brothers has he? How many cousins has he?" I says, "How do you know that they didn't all chip in and pay for the wedding?"
You see the same thing, right? And this is terrible to say, but even with headstones and graveyards,
the
amount of people that will begrudge your dead what they have.
But they don't. But sure, most of them, everyone has chipped in for it.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, everyone wants to, I don't know, like, so when someone passes away, you want to give whatever you can
towards the headstone.
And whether that's a £5 or that's 500, you want to have your little speak, like, if you get what I mean. But they're begrudging what they have. And I'm like, but they're dead. Leave them alone. They don't be begrudging what they have in their memory for their loved ones to walk up and be like, like, oh, the size of that. And straight away, oh, I wonder how much that cost. Oh, sure, like, they must have done X, Y, and Z, or they must have robbed the gates off this farmer's field and sold them back to him to get the price of that.
You see, I think that's a lack of understanding, because amongst ourselves, right? I'd be right in this, Darren, wouldn't I? It's usually whoever inherited the place that does the funeral and pays for the headstone and that,
Probably.
Lion's share of it, Whereas amongst the travellers community, usually it's spread out.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the settled community doesn't understand that.
No,
that they think some man had 100 grand.
Stiffed in his pocket
in
for a crack.
Biscuit tin buried in the backyard, and he just goes, there we are. That's job is ox.
Yeah.
They don't get that, I don't
No,
think.
I don't think they do. Like, and it is sad, because you're constantly defending, if you know what I mean. No, look, I'm not going to say I'm always at it. I don't. Sometimes I just let people have their say and have their speak, and, I won't contradict. I'll just be like, all right, yeah, because sometimes it's easier to let them do that rather than get into that big hole. Well, there was, say, 14 children in that family.
Yeah.
And, they all chipped in to give their father, the burial that they felt he deserved.
Yeah. And those 14 children might have had 7 or 8 children of themselves that are probably all working now as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is religion a big thing in the travelling community still, or is that another thing that's fading out?
I can only speak on what I know, but I still think that travellers do hold tight to their faith.
Yeah.
I think they really do.
Amongst the Irish travellers, that would be mostly Catholicism still, would it be?
Yeah. You would have a lot of them that are majority, you're Irish Catholic. But I see Christianity coming in the sense of born-again Christians.
Yeah, tell us about that, because that's a thing that started off. Was Dan Rooney or that was a preacher for that for a stage, wasn't he?
He could have been. I can't honestly tell you. Like, it's only something that I've had experience with, say, myself personally, in the last 2.5 or 3 years. I can't, kind of comment previous to that. But, their religion is like a stronghold. If someone is sick or someone's waiting on tests or something like that, what's the first thing they'll say to you when they're chatting to you? Oh, will you say a prayer? Or if they know a priest that has a cure or something, oh, would you give them a ring? Or would you like a candle? Or they're more, or, a famous line is, oh, well, God spoke before any doctor. And they hold tight to that faith to get them through. Whereas, maybe religion has fell far, and you can see that in this country, has fell far from people's hands and people's laps. And you can see that. You can see look, people have their experiences with religion too, and they can speak about the Catholic Church and different things that were done. And I am by no means going to sit here and defend that or whatever else. No one would, no one in the right mind would. But at the end of the day, as I do say, that was an experience with an individual. That wasn't an experience with God.
Yeah.
That person was supposed to be working, on a given journey that they committed, and they used and they abused that position. Okay? But that wasn't your journey with God.
Yeah.
That's not it.
One of the things I admire is you never hear a traveller giving out about huge big things that they have no control on. Like, they might be giving out about, say, the prices of horses or something like that.
Price of diesel.
Something, yeah.
Something minor.
But they won't get into, if such a politician doesn't cop on to himself, there's going to be war with this other country.
No.
Because, and I'm a devil for that myself. Sometimes I have to
I do. I can get into it and I can fall down 1,000,000 trillion rabbit holes. But sometimes you do have to pull it back up out of it. And there is a verse in the Bible, and it's Matthew 6. And it says, look at the birds. Like,
they provide for themselves.
God provides for them. Every day, they fly out of their nest on their wings and they feed from the ground or they feed from wherever. They're not worried about tomorrow or they're not worried about next week. Like, and it says as well, like, look at the wildflowers. You know, God cares so wonderfully for them. Like, why would he not care for you? So if you put your trust and your faith in him and don't worry, like, that's a lot of people get caught up in that again as well, and they're like, oh well, they're worried about tomorrow, they're worried about the next day, they're worried about next year. Like, there's even people planning for, like, when you sign into a mortgage, that's 20-year of worry, 25-year of worry, and you're told not to worry. You know, and that's where people, like, they don't actually pick up and read what was given to them. You know, it's there, it's in your hands. And it's on you to trust in it. It's in you to believe in it.
You see, I think you're after hitting there in the last while since we started talking on exactly the ideas that I had about the government and the travelling community. Because in what you have just said, you've depicted why they're not important.
Yeah.
And I think the settled community was always told to view the travelling community with suspicion. It even goes back, what was that film with the Bull McCabe in it? The Field. Oh, nothing to do with them, they have no tie to the land. And the fellow who told you that, who's idolised by the farming community, is the lunatic who ends up driving his son off a cliff at the latter end of it and killing everything that he has, and then going out to the sea beating it with a stick. Yeah. And everyone goes, oh, do you not remember what your man told you about the travellers? Oh yeah, you mean the fucking lunatic? That's who we're listening to, is it?
Yeah.
Like, in my heart, I'm beginning to think you have a clan culture that has no commitment to a bank at all.
No.
Do you know? Amongst ourselves, let's buy this item.
Yeah.
We're not taking a loan for it. Amongst ourselves, we're buying it.
And it's ours.
And we own it.
Yeah.
And I think this is why governments are so dead set against travelling groups. It's because ye of the clan culture, their rules don't apply to you. Do you know? It's like
that whole concept is in other cultures. I mean, you see the Indians coming over doing the same thing.
The Amish.
The Amish, yeah, they're big into that. Like, they are their own community. But look, people look at them and they say that's a cult. That's, you know, like, they're on the outskirts of society. They have nothing to do with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but Lisa, what if the cult is better?
Oh, I'm not saying anything.
I look at the Amish, and I heard, it was the best thing I ever heard about it, because the Amish don't preach, if you get me. They don't go from door to door saying, join our religion or that.
No.
This fellow was talking to one of them, and he says, why don't you do that? And he goes, it's too late for ye. You're too far gone. Do you know what I thought?
Yeah.
If that's a cult that's not pushing itself on anyone, that just goes, you just carry on with your daftness. We're going to grow our own food here.
Yeah.
So we are. Yeah. So do you think traveller culture will make a resurgence, or do you think it'll become more and more like, we had Leo Nolan was up here and he done the tinsmithing at the festival and that. And I think is he the last one really kind of learning it in the country, or that he was saying?
Yeah, it can't be called the exact.
And I think it's a pity. Do you know, it's a pity to see these
I don't know,
things.
because, like, myself included, people are marrying out of the culture.
Yeah.
If you get me, and they're marrying back into the settled. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying maybe that's where you can see some of it diminishing. If you get me, like, some of it is just pushed to the wayside, because it's very hard to hold on to your culture and, you know, hold on to your beliefs sometimes if you're not equally yoked that way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of beliefs that I feel like are gone in both cultures, I suppose, settled in, the travellers. Like the holy wells It was a big thing years ago, and bringing babies to wells if they were sick, and cures and that kind of stuff.
There's been so much lost.
There has been
It's
so much.
outrageous.
It's like if a child had colic, you'd be able to say, oh, well, such a fella has the cure of that, bring them down.
Yeah.
If a child had eczema, it's like, oh, well, such a fella has the cure of that, he has, operates on this day and this day, bring the child down.
Yeah.
That's, in a way, gone. Like, some travellers might still, they might still bring.
Well, a Polish couple there, I was working with your man and the child had ringworm. And I just says, oh, yeah, such a woman outside Ballycara. And he went, huh? And I says, yeah, she just draws a circle around it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he was like, okay, witch? And I was like, no, not a witch. No, just nice lady, do you know? And there's something that we let die out. Yeah. And you're just like he was amazed by this. He was just like, this is like magic.
My little girl, my third girl, she had thrush as a baby.
Yeah, the cure of the foul mouth or that as well.
So, there's a fella that lives down the road from us, and he'd be well known in the town, and I brought her. Yeah. And child never had thrush from that day to this. Like, it was gone.
And what did he do? Just breathe into the
mouth? Yeah, they blow into the mouth. Now, people might say,
he never saw his father. That's how you get that cure.
Never saw his father.
Yeah, the man that has it out in Ballycara, his father fell off a hay shit when he was in the womb.
Go away.
So if you were conceived, and your father dies before you're born, you have the cure for thrush.
Wow.
So you do.
It's mad, really. Yeah. But tell me, remember the rag trees were a big thing with the traveller community. Are they still a big thing either?
There's one of them in the Holy Well in Sligo. You'd have the cloth and all that tied to it.
Yeah, I'm not like. I can't say that I went to a load of them. Like, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now, like where I've been, or different things that you've, went to. I'm just trying to, like you'd have, your cure of warts, your cure of your eczema. That was a man in Tullamore. Cure the thrush. He's a man of Moat. He lives down the road from us. Going off to wells and things like that. I know. Do you know what was a really big one? Do you know the one over in England? St. Winifred's Holy Well.
I heard of that. Yeah.
Like travellers are massive believers in that well. Like you have to get down, and the water is ice cold. Yeah. It's ice. You have to get down and swim in underneath and around and back out into the big kind of pool, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
But people have sworn to have got miracles from it.
Yeah, my mother's aunt had the cure for the hole in the heart in babies. Okay. And there was often travellers that stayed because it had to be done 3 times.
Yeah.
Your mother?
My mother's aunt.
All right.
Yeah, McCann was her name. She had the cure for the hole in the heart. And that's how she got her new windows and doors. when PVC was a new hip thing or that. It was, I think they were from Cork, if I remember correctly, a travelling couple, and the child got cured, and the next thing she woke up one morning, there was 2 or 3 fellas measuring, how are you doing, ma'am? Because she couldn't take money, do you know?
Yeah, you're supposed to take money, aren't you? No,
but I think your man was selling windows and doors or that, so she was getting new ones, that was all that was to it. So
that was his way of saying thanks, like,
Oh, fair play.
Lisa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Will you come back to us at some stage?
I suppose, yeah. We've only touched surface touches. I do say it, like, I feel like I have surface information on things, but
no, I think it's what's it called. It's very interesting. So it is, because I am of the opinion that ye had something that the government went, that has to stop. And I'm thinking, as we move into the World Economic Forum, all of that, like, a lot of travellers would want to waken up and see they're going to take everything off you. They'll
try.
But what they'll do is they've taken the travelling, and like the next thing they're coming for is cash.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
like fellas that want to cotton onto that middling quickly.
I think some kind of have. I won't speak for them all, obviously, but I think some have. Well,
I think there was 2 groups that the government always feared, really, and it was the farmers and the travellers. Do you know?
Yep.
And they definitely have the farmers by the balls now, anyway. But you see, a chance for the travellers.
I think so, because I think the travelling community, if it saw fit, could create a currency for amongst themselves if they wanted to.
Probably would. No, they probably would. Yeah.
Like, there's enough of them there to just go, do you know, fair enough, you want to deal in numbers on a screen, but no, we'll retain this currency.
But we have, because as I do say, what's in your pocket, you own.
Well, I read it, I forget where I read it. Every time you use cash, it's like telling the government, what I spend is none of your fucking business. And I think it's a lovely testament to go by. So it is. Lisa, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Brilliant.
That's perfect.